podcast. My name is Amanda, and I am here with my very lovely mother.
Hi, I'm Janette.
And I'm so excited. Today we're going to be ranking more Disney lands. So we're going to do the lands in Animal Kingdom. So the way we're going to do this is that there are 7 lands according to the map of Animal Kingdom. So I'm going to read them in alphabetical order. So if you're driving your car or you're cleaning or something like that, you can kind of think of how you would rank these lands sort of in your head. So those 7 lands we're going to be ranking from 1 to 7 is Africa, Dinoland USA, Discovery Island, the Oasis, Pandora, the World of Avatar, and Rafiki's Planet Watch. All right, so those are our 7 lands, and we're going to rank them 1 to 7. So my mom, judging by her face, she forgot one. So, and also if you hear little sounds in the background, my mom has adopted 2 kittens. So we have Savannah and Elvis also joining us today on the podcast. So yeah, they may be knocking stuff over and, just being little naughty kittens. All right, so what is in your number 7, Mom?
Oh, wait. Okay.
She redoes her rankings. Her paper looks like a mess from over here. Oh my gosh.
As we explained, Amanda does a lot of deep diving on all this. She tells me what to do. I write down some notes, and then I kind of wing it most of the time.
I didn't do any research on this one.
I kind of wing it most of the time.
Yeah.
So when I put in my number 1, I had it on the wrong line here. So just give me 1 second. Okay, my number 7 is Dinoland.
Yeah, mine is also Dinoland USA.
That's easy. Dinoland, I mean, obviously it's half empty now.
Yeah.
But Dinoland never held anything for me. Mm-hmm. The dinosaur ride is fun, but the rest of it just never did anything for me. I don't like I understand what they were trying to do with all the little games and the little roller coaster ride and the things that they were doing there. I don't like the little games, especially as a parent going through there. I just spent all this money to go to the parks. I do not want to go and spend another $20, $30, $40 so my kid can play all these little stupid games that I can do at the boardwalk. Mm-hmm. That was hard going through that area when you were young. You liked the roller coaster, but I never went on the Dinoland roller coaster. Well,
that's not even open anymore.
Yeah, so that's not even open
anymore. In Dinoland
anymore.
USA, what you can do is the Boneyard, which is I would say the biggest attraction for the most part.
Yeah.
Like that and the dinosaur ride itself are like the 2 biggest attractions.
Right.
The Boneyard is essentially kind of like a playground for kids, but I remember it being very fun. Like you were just saying that you just sit and wait for us to like play in this Boneyard. Don't mind if you can hear the kitten playing in a bag right now. So 2 cats playing in a bag. This one's going to be fun to edit. So there's also what they call fossil fun games. This is carnival style games.
Right, carnival. That's the ones I'm talking about.
But you have to pay extra for those, don't you? Like those.
Yes, that's what I mean. When you were kids, it's very hard for a parent when you're going through that area that the kids want to play those games. And they're like, I want to play. Now, we have them over here at the boardwalk because I live down by the Jersey Shore and we've always been by the shore and we've always done these things. Those games add up. Yeah. And they're just to play for fun. But at that point, you're saying to yourself, there's so much to do in the park. Why am I spending money on these games? So Dinoland, even the Boneyard, I mean, as much as the Boneyard was fun for you when you were younger, the Boneyard is us sitting, and we were just talking about that recently. We went through and we walked past the Boneyard. There was never any place really decent for the parents to sit and wait for you to play. Mm-hmm. You were always sitting in the sun. So there was no place to say, okay, let's just take a respite from the sun and sit in the shade for a little while the kids run and play in the Boneyard. No, we were sitting in the sun the whole time on stone benches. So, it was
not even like the nice part of Animal Kingdom. Like the mystical part of Dinoland USA.
So I have to say that even when you were kids up till now, if they are taking it away. And if they take it all away, I would not miss it.
So other things are also technically part of Dinoland USA is the Finding Nemo, the Big Blue and Beyond. Mm-hmm. They did redo the show in 2023 and I have heard people say they really love it. Mm-hmm. They also have Triceratops Spin is still currently open. It's kind of like the teacups.
Oh, is it still open? Okay, I didn't know that was still open.
And then of course the dinosaur ride, which is similar to the Indiana Jones ride if you go to Disneyland. So we do like the dinosaur ride. And as for food there, they have Restaurantosaurus, which I have heard is very good. We have never eaten in Restaurantosaurus because we choose to eat in like other places, either in like Yak and Yeti or in what's it called, the Rainforest Cafe. Mm-hmm. But I have heard Restaurantosaurus is very good. They're supposed to have a really good Impossible Burger there, but again, I've never had that before. There's also Dino Bite Snacks, Trilo Bites, Cornivores, and then there's a few little shopping in there in Dinoland USA.
Well, I didn't rate when you told me to rate the lands. I did not rate them for their rides.
Yeah, we're rating the lands just as the lands itself. I'm just saying what's in the land,
right? Right, but I didn't rate them for the ride. Like if I had to rate for the rides, I mean, obviously we go on dinosaur, so we like it.
I think we're rating the lands more for like the experience.
Yes, the experience of
how
that
much you just
land.
like the land. Like the rides, I think are a part of it to a certain extent, but just like the overall experience is what we're rating. So, all right, what's in your number 6?
My number 6 is Rafiki's Planet Watch.
Right, mine is also Rafiki's Planet Watch.
It's fun. It's cute. It's a very nice place to go, and especially like now that we've started exploring all the extra parts. When you were kids, we went there a couple of times. Yeah, it is a very interesting experience to go there and do. So I have to say, it's a very, very nice little part of the park.
Yeah, Rafiki's Planet Wash is essentially, you kind of go to conservation station. So it's kind of, I think there's also a petting zoo there too,
Yes,
I believe as well. You
there's
can
a
like
petting
pet
zoo.
goats, which I think is probably the highlight to go to Rafiki's
Yes,
Planet
for
Wash is to go
everybody,
pet the
yes.
goats. Yeah, but basically you can go there, you can see kind of the behind the scenes, a little bit of how they take care of the animals.
Sometimes you're lucky enough to see them taking care of an
Yes,
animal.
which is very exciting. I'd say that's the best part of it. The reason why I just ranked it very low is that one, it's very out of the way. So you have to take the little train over there to get there. It's not like you can just like walk over there and then wander away. It almost feels like it's a commitment to go do Rafiki's Planet Wash because you're going to take the train there and then you have to wait for the train to go take it back to the main part of the park. So that's kind of why I ranked it a bit lower for me, because I do like the idea of like seeing like the behind the scenes, how they take care of animals, especially also learning like, you know, being able to pet the goats if you're able to do that. But yeah, but I just find it to be a bit small. There's not really much to do once you're there. Then you just kind of leave.
Yeah, no, the only exciting times was when they were taking care of some of the animals.
Yeah,
And
I
like
think
said,
one
the
time we saw them
petting
taking
zoo.
care of an elephant when we were there. That was like a big thing. I remember they were like cleaning an elephant.
Yes.
But that was like a one-time thing that ever happened. Never again. All right, what is in your number 5?
My number 5 was Pandora.
Well, I also had Pandora. We did
Wow.
not confer on our rankings
Wow, see?
beforehand, so
We did not confer. It's funny because, like I said, Pandora is one of my favorite. Flight of Passage is one of my favorite rides. But like I said, I didn't rate it just because of the ride. In my estimation, the only reason I want to go to Pandora Land is because the ride is there.
Yeah.
I have never seen Avatar. I've never seen the movie. I've never seen any of that, so I'm not into all of that. It's very interesting to see, and we did go that one time at night to see it so that we could see the nighttime, and we had dinner in the park and whatever. And it was interesting to see that one time, but if I didn't see it again at night, you know, see all that stuff again, it would not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Pandora, the world of Avatar, has 2 main attractions, the Navi River Journey and Avatar Flight of Passage. My mom is referring to Flight of Passage when she's referring to the ride that she likes. None of us are really big fans of the River Journey, if we're being honest. Navi River Journey is very cute, but it's just cute. That's about it.
It is. Like I said, because I've never seen the movie, to go through it and see the bioluminescence and the different.
bioluminescence. Well, also the shaman at the end, like the animatronic of
Yes.
the Avatar.
Yes, you see the animals
that truly
in the distance.
Is such a, I know that cost them a lot.
It's
of money.
impressive.
It was like $1 million, something like that, for them to make, which looks like it would cost a lot of money. It is quite impressive. I do really like it. But you can tell though, the ride itself, the money went into that one animatronic, and then everything else was just like, all right, just screens,
going through
just
like a
pretty
little
lighting,
little
very
forest.
simple, very
Yeah.
fun. Nothing.
Yeah,
nothing
it's
too
like I
crazy.
said, what we said before, is one of those rides that if you can get on there and it's not a long wait, we'll go do it because it's cute and it's fun. It's interesting to see. But if I had to wait a long time, not happening.
And their dining, they have Pangu Pangu and Sutuli Canteen. I have heard good things about both of them. We have never eaten at either. But I've heard good things about both of them.
Well, whenever we're in that land, for some reason, the way our schedule goes, we're
Again,
never
we
really
just
in the
never
mood
eat
for
there.
a snack
Just
at
the
that
way
point.
It works
Right.
out. It's just how it be sometimes, just how it be.
Right.
All right. So let's see. Are we gonna stick together for number 4?
Mine is Asia.
You put Asia as your number 4?
Yeah.
Really?
Asia is my number 4 because as much as I love Asia, I love all of the accents of Asia. I love the feel of Asia. I love the Maharaja Trail when we did it just this last time. But as a land, there's not as much in there other than the acoustics of seeing all the architecture and stuff as there is in other places that I would like to stop and see.
All right, that's fine. No, that's okay. I did not have Asia as my number 4. I had something else. I'll go into the details of it when I get to that one. I put the Oasis as my number 4.
Oh.
And the reason why is that I just find the Oasis area to be quite small. There's not really anything
Yeah,
in
it
the
is small.
Oasis. So here on the map, it says the animal highlights is the Babirusa, the spoonbill, and the anteater. The spoonbill, I think, is a type of flamingo, I believe so.
Yes,
so
type
it's
of
one of
bird.
those flamingos.
Right.
The Oasis is like the front of the park, sort of. Like when you first walk in, that whole area in the front. And I do really like it because you do get to roam kind of all around. Like you're kind of really immersed in like the area that you're in.
Yes.
And it feels very classic. In a way, this is like the most classic zoo that you're going to get, that there's little habitats. You can see the animals in their habitats, but it does not feel like the animals are in habitats. It feels like the animals are just out and about, and you were also just out and about walking around. So I do like the Oasis overall. I do think I think it's a great way to also start the park too when you first walk into the park, because again, you're kind of just immediately immersed in like all these animals, all this like tropical lush greenery. There's just so much to look at. Like you're walking uphill. The ground is always wet because they wet the ground, of course. So it kind of fills into that immersive feel. And then also Rainforest Cafe is also considered part of the Oasis as well. You can eat at the Rainforest Cafe if you are not going into the park. So you are able to just pull up into Animal Kingdom and eat at the Rainforest Cafe. However, I would suggest going to the Rainforest Cafe at Disney Springs if you're going to go to Rainforest
if you
Cafe
gotta
and
just
not
go
go
to
into the
the-
park.
yeah.
Otherwise, this is very out of the way.
Out of the way to go
Rainforest
park
Cafe.
and get all the way over there and do everything, right?
All right. No, that sounds good. All right. So then what's your number 3?
Okay, so that's my reason for having 3 is Oasis.
Yeah.
So that's why Asia was not above the Oasis, because the Oasis to me was that feel.
Yeah, the
it's
feeling
that
of walking
feel
around.
of
No,
we,
I see what
you know,
you
we
mean.
always
Yeah.
stop to look at the little waterfalls and all the animals, and
And
when
you always
first
see something new.
Yes, and
Yeah.
when you first walk into, okay, we're gonna have to stop that cat. I moved it, but that didn't help. The thing is that when you walk into the
Elvis
park,
is inside the bag, so she's trying to attack Elvis inside of the bag.
well, Amanda's the one that's got to edit. So, but anyway, the idea is that the Oasis, when you first walk into the park, it gives me that feel that I get to just feel like you said, not the quintessential zoo, but you're right in the middle of all the animals. And as much as I love Asia and I love all the architecture of Asia, it doesn't give me that same feeling when I walk through Asia. So that's why I had them 4 and 3 instead of 3 and 4.
All right, so that was your number 3,
Yes.
right? All right, so my number 3, I have Discovery Island. So Discovery Island is another part, basically, kind of like sort of in the front-ish, sort of.
Yes.
So Discovery Island is basically where the Tree of Life is. So the Oasis is that really small front part, and then you kind of get to this bridge, and you walk over the bridge, and then you like when you see the Tree of Life, and then that whole area is Discovery Island. So when you actually look at the full map of Animal Kingdom, I feel like silly because it wasn't until I was doing this podcast I realized it actually is an island because everything
come over
else
the
you take a
bridge.
break
You have
to
to
go
go
all
over
the
a
other
bridge,
lands,
yeah.
and I never thought about that. So,
All that walking, never
yeah, I
realized
just
we
never
were going
thought
over
about
water.
that. You're going over like bridges when you get there. Like I don't know why. Like I just never like 2 and 2 just never clicked in my brain. But yeah, so Discovery Island is that main part. There's lots of animals you can see too in Discovery Island. There's the otter, the catfish, the cotton-top tamarin, the tortoise, the lemur, the flamingo, and the kangaroo. And again, another fun thing, you can walk around, you find animals everywhere. Sometimes you'll even see the cast members holding animals too.
Right.
Especially with some birds or something like that. You'll see people holding animals. The attractions in this area is considered the Wilderness Explorers, although the Wilderness Explorers is kind of over the entire park. But I think this is where like the main check-in for
Starts,
Wilderness
right.
Explorers. So you can kind of start your little badge book, and then, they'll tell you how you can continue to do Wilderness Explorers. I've heard it is very fun and that a lot of people love doing it with their kids, especially if you're local and you have annual passes to like bring your kids.
I can see that.
Yeah, like you earn a badge every
It's
time
like when
you
you
go.
were kids, we used to do the kid cot, the
Yeah,
different
exactly.
things.
Yeah.
Right.
So I've heard very positive things about Wilderness Explorers. This is also where It's Tough to Be a Bug is at as well. It's Tough to Be a Bug is going to be replaced eventually. They did talk about that in 2023, but there's been no closing date yet for It's Tough to Be a Bug, as well as exactly what's replacing Tough to Be a Bug. So I guess we'll see. There is the Discovery Island Trails, which again is where all those animals are. And then there's also Adventures Outpost. This is where you can meet Minnie and Mickey Mouse. And there's lots of dining here. There's 8 Spoon Cafe, there's the Feeding Ground, Flame Tree Barbecue, Isle of Java, Tiffin's Restaurant, Nomad Lounge, Pizzafari, and Creature Comforts, as well as a few different like island mercantile type shops. So lots of dining here on Discovery Island. I will say we haven't eaten in most of these places, if we're being honest. Like we've never eaten at Tiffin's Restaurant.
No.
And we've never gone to Nomad Lounge. We've walked past it many times.
Yes,
saying we
I've
should
always wanted
there,
to go, but it
we
just
haven't
never
been
fit
there
into
yet.
our schedule. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be very, very good.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well. But yeah, so that's why I put Discovery Island as my number. If I would put number 3 is what it is. Yeah, that's why I put as my number 3 because I think there's lots to do here. I always find it's really fun to walk around. The other time when we went in this past December, we were watching the otters like have such a blast in
know.
their little habitat. It was so cute to just watch the otters like hang out with each other and like play around and splash around. And kind of similar to the Oasis, when you walk around, you just never know when you're going to see an animal. So it's
Right.
very exciting to just walk around and see these animals just out and about, like and just living their own lives as you're just enjoying this park. That's kind of why I had it as my number 3. All right, what is your number 2?
Mine is Discovery
Discovery
Island.
Island.
And why not? All the things you just listed. Shopping, eating, animals, and my flamingos. My
Yeah.
flamingos are on Discovery Island. So my flamingos are one of the favorite things to go look at. So they're on Discovery Island. When you come over the bridge, there's usually that thing in the front. Right as soon as you come over the bridge and go down in front of the Tree of Life, there's like a pond
Yeah, now I
there.
know what you're talking
and
about,
there's
yeah.
a lot of times they're over there. Sometimes they're not there. Like on certain years I've been there and they haven't been there, but most of the time they're right there. But I love Discovery Island because there's so much going on. There's just so much to do, so much to see, so much to like between the shopping and the eating and all the animals and all of the people in the Harambee Square. Like before you get to Africa and you're going down into Africa and you've got Harambee Square and all the people singing. If you're coming around the other side, you've got so much connecting over there that I just feel like there's so much to do. It just catches my attention so that there's, I always love when there's a lot of outside stuff going on. I mean, as much as I love the nice little serene places, I love love when there's stuff to watch and stuff to see and stuff to do. It's one of my favorite things to do is just watch all the people and people coming and going. So that's why I put it as my number 2.
Number 2. Yeah, no, for sure. That makes sense. All right. And my number 2, I have Africa. So I loved Africa. I mean, again, we're at the top 2 now. You know, Africa is my number 2 for sure. So let me scroll over to Africa here on the map. So the animal highlights here in Africa is what you can imagine. African animals. We got the elephants,
animals.
the lions, the gorillas, the giraffes, the hippopotamus, colobus monkey, the octopi, tarantula, and goats. There are more animals as well. These are just the highlights I just wanted to note as well. The attractions here, we have the Festival of the Lion King, one of the greatest shows that they currently have in all of Disney World. I think that is one of the most fun ones. It's only 30 minutes, so it's not too long, but it's also long enough, I think, as well. It's incredible acrobatics that you get to watch.
Yes,
incredible
that was fun. We hadn't seen it in a long time when we went to see
animals.
it this year.
I mean, like you have all your favorite Animal Kingdom, all your favorite Lion King characters in it as well. Super fun. I absolutely love Festival of the Lion King. Of course, you have Kilimanjaro Safari. I feel like the main reason why you're going to Animal Kingdom is to go on the Kilimanjaro Safari. So one of the best rides, you get to see all the animals for the most part in Kilimanjaro Safari. You have the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail. Again, another really great trail to walk around. Again, this is where you really see the gorillas up close. You can see a lot of the animals too that you see on the safari on the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail as well, but again, just more up close and to spend more time with them. Also to speak one-on-one with cast members who are kind of just hanging about, who can give you more information about the animals, about their habitats, about how Animal Kingdom takes care of them. Rafiki's Planet Watch is considered part of this area as well, so I just want to note that. I did separate it out for the purposes of our podcast, but Rafiki's Planet Watch is considered part of Africa because the train to go to Rafiki's Planet Watch is in Africa.
That's right. It is right near the safaris.
So it's right in Africa. So it's considered like an extension sort of Africa. There's lots of dining here too. We have Mahindi, Dawa Bar, which is my mom's favorite. I feel like we talk about Dawa Bar in like every Animal Kingdom podcast. Tusker House Restaurant, Kusafiri Coffee Shop and Bakery, Tamu Tamu Refreshments, Harambe Fruit Market, and Harambe Market itself, as well as Zuri's Sweet Shop. Zuri's Sweet Shop is actually considered shopping, not dining, even though it's basically their bakery. So I would consider it
but
dining,
it's connected to the store.
Yeah, so it's considered shopping, but that's my favorite personally, obviously. So yeah, but I love Africa. I feel like when you walk through that area, it is so cool to just like feel like you're in Africa. Of course, you have the Harambe dancers right there. So or the drummers, I'm not sure, I forget exactly what they're called, but they come out periodically, so it's fun to see their performance. They're very interactive too with the audience. You get to interact with them. I think just walking around too makes it really feel like you're in like a very, I would say, stereotypical type of African area, I would say, because of course Africa is a gigantic continent. So there are all phases of different types of life, I would say, in Africa, from like the more safari aspect that we see in Animal Kingdom to more, I would say, like modern things like cities and stuff like that, you know, that we see in everyday life kind of in America. But kind of seeing that traditional safari African feel is just so cool to see. It's something that you don't really see at all in America. Like you're never going to see that for the most part in America, I would say. Go on a limb and say that. I mean, like maybe if you're really in like in the South or somewhere to do a safari, but even then our landscape doesn't look like that. Like the landscape in America just doesn't look like the way it looks like
no matter how much they try.
Yeah, like even the deserts of, you know, the West look very different from like a desert in Africa, the way Savannah looks. So it's just so cool to see that. And I love being there and just how immersive, especially all the detail too, how they really make it look weathered, you know, the weathered down look of like the harsh weathers and the harsh, you know, environment that is, you know, what you can be living out on that Savannah. I think they paid attention to detail so well here. There's so many little Easter eggs all around. It's just so fun to be there and to walk around. So yeah, that's why I put it as my number 2. So I'm assuming this is your number 1.
Well, obviously that's my number 1. As we know, anybody who listens, Africa is my favorite. It's just my favorite. There's nothing much more to say than Amanda said, but it is true. I mean, there's so much to do and so much to walk around. And when you are walking around, to me, it's the closest I'm ever going to get. As I say that, all my friends say to me, you could go to Africa. I'm not going to Africa.
That's a long trip to go to Africa.
It's a long trip. I'm just done with that. I cannot go that long trip to Africa. But the idea here is that this is the closest I'm going to get to something like this. And Amanda's right. The detail that they put in it, the detail that you have, even just when you go and you walk around the village or Harambe Square or where they built the new place with all the food, where you walk around and they're selling the food. It's just, you feel like you're in a different place. And that's what makes me really happy to go to Animal Kingdom. And like I said, there are times when I go to Animal Kingdom just to go to that part of the park. Even if I had to make a quick trip. Once or twice, we've been where Joe and I have gone in just to do a quick trip in the morning. And we've gone in there and just gone straight to Africa, spend our time in Africa, and then we go home, back to the hotel. I just love the feel of it. And obviously seeing the animals. I mean, you get on that safari, and my recommendation is to do it in the morning because in the morning, you just see so much.
That's when they're also feeding the animals too.
Yes, they're feeding them
right up close.
Yes, you're up close. You get that. Just when we went on the trek, the gorilla trek, and the other trek, the Maharaja trek, when we went in Asia, the details and just the places that you go to and how they have it, where they have the stone stone temples and the different things in Asia. And then when you go to the African one, when you're going through there and you realize that you're walking through where they have all these things that you're looking at and saying, oh my God, I would never even think that this was, here. So I have to say that that's why it was my number one. I would go to Animal Kingdom just to go to Africa.
Yeah. So for me, I have Asia as my number one for a lot of the same reasons why you love Africa. So you could say it's biased because I am Asian. I was born in China, but I think Asia is just so beautiful. Like when I walk around Asia, I just think it looks amazing. I mean, like when you first walk over that bridge, you see the tree with all the like the little ribbons in it. I forget the exact symbolism of like what that tree represents, but I think it represents wishes or something like that. When you tie a ribbon and it's supposed to represent a wish, and when it falls off, then your wish is supposed to come true or something. But in Asia, our animal highlights is the tiger, bat, gibbon, Komodo dragon, long-tailed maki, and some colorful birds is what it says. Our attractions is feathered friends in flight. So we have not done this in quite some time just because we're not big bird people, but it is really cool when you see how they can train birds like that and how they fly.
When you're in the
around.
park, you can see them fly around your head.
Yeah, and
they
it
come
is
out
fun to
and go
see
back.
the birds like fly around like that. And, like we've even stood in the back sort of and just kind of like watch them do the show with the birds, which is pretty cool. We have the Maharaja Jungle Trek, which was my personal favorite. Again, it was so beautiful walking through this Maharaja Jungle Trek. Even if you don't see any animals, just walking through, it's as if you're walking through this like ancient stone like ruins, and it's just amazing. It's like I can imagine being like somewhere in Asia, and this is just some like ancient stone ruins, and you see all like the Chinese writing or some kind of Asian writing. I'm not sure if it's Chinese or if it's another language. But you see Chinese writing, you see like kind of leading up before you get to the tigers, you see like kind of tigers that are in the stone, so you think maybe tigers are around. Again, it's like the whole thing. The aviaries were just so cool.
The
in both the Gorilla Falls Trek and the Maharaja Trek. But that one in the Maharaja Trek, we really saw so many birds in that one that were like interacting with us as humans, which is so funny. Like
just right in the middle of them. You were the minority. They were the majority.
I know, it was so cool to see them. We have Kali River Rapids, of course. I mean, like most people, I feel like don't go on this ride. No, because most people don't want to get soaking wet on this ride. Although it is a fun ride, I would say it's definitely not the best rapids ride I've ever been on. I think you don't really get that wet on the ride. I feel like every time I go on it, I only get wet at one part of the ride, but that one part I get soaking wet. Like I'll get soaking wet once on the ride, and then that's it. So, but it is a fun, cute ride as well. And then of course we have Expedition Everest. I think this whole area leading up to Everest, I think that is what I think makes the land for me, because as you're walking through from like Discovery Island into Asia, you start to see these little signs as you're walking through of, that you're walking into this whole world and that you don't really know what's going on. And then as you kind of get closer to Everest, you see it in the distance. You start to see signs that say beware, say that something's going on. You see all the Himalayan flags that are around you. You see all these signs about like, getting your hiking gear, all your trekking gear, all this stuff. And as you're getting closer, it's bringing you into this world that you would not otherwise be in unless you actually went to the Himalayan mountains. It's like, and let me tell you, I'm never going to the Himalayan mountains.
I don't go on that ride.
Yeah, so. I'm never going to that area of the world. I'm not one of those people who wants to go climb Mount Everest. That's just not my personality personally. Although kudos to everyone who does want to climb Mount Everest. I really look up to you all, and I think it's really great that you all are doing that. But personally, I will just go to Animal Kingdom. But I think it's really great that they have created this storyline that when you're in Asia, even like the area of Yak and Yeti, if you listen to our podcast on the Yak and Yeti restaurant, that whole area has a full story to it of why Yak and Yeti even exists. And I think that's amazing that this whole like little story, fictional story exists within the park, that if you want to dive deeper into these stories, you can. If you just want to enjoy the park for what it is, you can also do that as well. But yeah, but I just think it's so great that as you walk through, the whole Asia area is leading up, I feel like, to get to Everest. And like there's all these little clues until you finally get there, until you finally get on that queue. Well, that's one of the best line queues in my opinion. There's so much to look at. Well, not one of the best. It's fully outdoors, and for the most part can be very hot when you're there.
But it's very interesting.
But there's lots to look at, I would say. Like one of the better line queues for like things to look at. You're not just weaving in and out for like no purpose. And you are in the shade, so at least you're shaded, but it is fully outdoors. So not the best. And then once you get to the museum part as well, it's so cool to see how the Imagineers went to Asia, did all this research in Asia to create this land. And I just think that's amazing. And how they sort of paid back to that heritage and that culture that everything is based off. So yeah, so I absolutely love the Asian Pavilion. It's definitely my favorite, or the Asian land, I should say. It's definitely my favorite. Always has been my favorite. I love walking through it. I love the music when you walk through it. There's lots to eat here as well. We have Mr. Kamal's Warring Outpost Drink Walla, which says hosted by Coca-Cola on the map, which I think is funny. Yak and Yeti Restaurant, Yak and Yeti Local Food Cafes, Joffrey's Coffee and Tea Company, Anna Dapor's Ice Cream Truck, Trek Snacks, and the Thirsty River Bar, as long as a few other little shopping here as well. I will say in this area you have way more food trucks than you have like real places to eat. I would say the main places to eat really is Yak and Yeti Restaurant and the Yak and Yeti Local Food Cafe.
Right, the other ones are just a little outpost.
Yeah, the Yak and Yeti Food Cafe is kind of like a quick service, and then everything else I just read was food trucks. And the food trucks, I would say that's my only downside. The food trucks have weird hours. Like the food trucks are not
they're
open
not always
the full
open.
Day.
Right.
And it's like they open late and they close early, and then some of them are only open for like just like 2 hours in the afternoon. It's very strange. Right. So I'm not really sure why the food trucks all have weird hours like that are just unexpected. But I feel like in Harambe Square, they don't have that. They kind of all those
everything
restaurants
is open all
are
the
kind
time.
of open,
right.
you know, for the most part, park open to park closed. So yeah, so the food trucks is the only downside. But honestly, we didn't really eat any out of any of those food trucks. The only place we really eat is Yak and Yeti.
Can't eat Yak and Yeti.
Like
we get it off
service.
their fast food.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I think is Animal Kingdom as the lands. It just goes back to the details.
Yeah.
I mean, the details in every part of the park. I mean, it's so hard because, like you said, when I picked one, I said, oh, wow, yeah, you're right. Maybe that one would be that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of hard to rate them.
Well, that's what I thought too. Is like, well, Discovery Island has to be before the Oasis because that's where the Tree of Life is. The whole park is based around the Tree of Life. And it's in Discovery Island. Technically. So.
Right. So they all blend together. Like I said, everybody has their favorite. And as we are Disney adults now, all those little stories and all those little facts are now all present. Mm-hmm. When you've got 2 and 3 and 4, some of these people have 5 kids running all over the place. It's kind of hard to see all that, like to see all the details and to understand all the different details and the stories behind everything. But it is amazing once you start seeing it now and realizing that all these years we've been seeing it and appreciating it, but never appreciating all the detail that goes into it. And I have to say, like I said, other than Dinoland, which I could, you know, they take it away, I'm not that upset about. The rest of the lands, they're all really good, but Africa is still my favorite.
To redo Dinoland USA. In 2023, they came out and said they're going to redo it to a South American type of theme as well as like Zootopia. So I'm excited to see what it will look like when they do retheme that whole land. I think it could use a refresh. I know there are some Dinoland USA lovers out there that are devastated that it's going away. So I am sorry to those people. But personally, I am excited for it to be refreshed. I think it would be great since that's the only area of the world that isn't really represented at all within overall Disney World. Like even within Epcot, there is no country. Well, I guess there's Mexico, but Mexico I think is technically considered part of North America.
Right. It's not considered
because it's
South
above
America.
the equator.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, like we have Mexico, but other than Mexico, we have nothing from South America at all. You know, so I think it'd be great to have some representation from that area, especially too. I think we talked about this in a previous podcast. But lots of people from South America come to Disney World.
Yeah, whenever you're there, there's always a lot.
Yeah, lots of people from Brazil, especially, are often come. Argentina, all those countries often come. So I think it'd be great to have a little bit of that culture here, and also for us to learn more about South American culture because I feel like you learn a lot when you're in these lands about the cultures of these continents. So to learn a bit more about the South American, continent, I think would be really cool.
Right. If they do a good job and put the detail in like they did with everything else, if they don't start to skimp, then it'll be good. I think nobody likes change. I don't like change. You know, when they started changing things in Disney Springs and they changed things in, Hollywood Studios, nobody really likes change. And obviously things have to change. Yeah. Things can't stay the same forever. And I understand that. I get upset when they take away something I like. So,
that's
so I can understand
because I don't love Dinoland USA. I'm not really that upset. But if they were like, we're going to take away Asia, I'd be like, wait, what?
Oh, no, yeah,
like, you can't do that. What are you going to do with the big mountain?
No, definitely. But like I said, unfortunately, as we all know, things have to change. And like I said, I do feel bad for the people who do really love Dinoland.
Yeah, so sorry if you're a big Dinoland USA lover, but I look forward. Although they haven't said when they're closing it down yet, so you still got time. So now is the time to go enjoy it. But even now when
you walk through it, it's kind of like half
it's like
empty.
desolate. It's like awkward.
It's kind of depressing.
Yeah, when you go to like those carnival games, there's no rides. There's nothing there.
There's nobody. There's no roller coaster. There's nothing. It's very strange. Very depressing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I do look forward to it being redone. But all right, so that was our ranking. I would love to hear your rankings. So let us know. Our social media is Spaceship Earth Design. Although I am going to be I know every episode I'm like I'm going to be rebranding the Instagram. Yeah, but we may be rebranding the Instagram. All that to say, but right now it's Spaceship Earth Design. Let us know on our dedicated Instagram post. How would you rank the lands? Are you different from ours? Would you put Dinoland USA as number 1 and maybe the Oasis as your last one or something like that? I would love to hear it. So definitely let us know. All right, for now we'll transition into some Disney news. So we are going to be pre-recording some episodes in the future. So I'm going to save a bit of Disney news for those episodes. So I do realize by the time this comes out, more news has come out since then, but we do pre-record. And again, this is just for us to react to some Disney news. So the first is that this happened so quickly, but me and my mom are just talking about this, but Big River Grill and Brewing Works is permanently closing. Its final day was January 21st. So by the time this podcast episode comes out, it has already been closed for like a week. So sad times for Big River. I will say they announced the closing very quickly. Like by the time they announced it, there was only a couple days left of it being open and then it was closed. So it all happened very fast, I will say. But my mom and I was saying as well that neither of us are necessarily surprised because it wasn't a bad restaurant.
The food was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
The restaurant itself was dirty.
Yeah, the restaurant smelled weird.
It was, it had a smell to it because it was dirty.
Yeah.
It was never clean. It was like when you went there, it was never clean. And even when we passed it, when we were on the boardwalk last time, we passed it and we said, okay, we could go back there, but we have to sit at an outdoor table.
Yeah, because it smells weird
Because
inside.
we would, we like their food, but the restaurant itself was not inviting
but
to
I will
go
say
inside.
the food was good. So we were saying
Yes.
we're curious to see what they're going to put in this area because it is a kind of a small restaurant. So whatever they put in it is also going to have to be kind of small, which I think is the downside of this area.
Right.
Although again, once they take away the big brewery type things to make the beer, they'll definitely have a little bit more space. But still, I wonder if they're going to keep it as a bar, which I think would be beneficial.
Yes.
Because they don't really have a lot of bars along the
No, the only
boardwalk
bar
right
they
now.
have is Abracadabra, and they don't serve food.
Yeah, so I wonder what it's going to be, but then I wonder if it's going to be a bar, is it going to attract too many people and they can't see anyone, so it's going to be like exclusive. I don't know. So I guess we'll see what happens here. All right, Basin White has reopened at the Grand Floridian. This is the soap shop when you get off the monorail that's to the left. It was funny because we talked a few podcast episodes ago that it closed very unexpectedly for refurbishment, but the whole Disney community was just like, why did it close? What's going on? What's happening to
It's
Basin?
kind of a simple place. I don't know how much refurbishment they had to do.
Apparently it was just like their standard refurbishment. So now they have light up tables. So there's like lights underneath the tables.
Oh, okay.
There's
They
like lights
upgraded a
underneath
little
the
bit.
sinks,
Okay.
and they did some touch up on the paint as well. There's only closed for like
I was going to say, it's a very simple place. It's not
Yeah.
like they had that much
But
going
I just want
on.
to say, because we talked about it when they closed so abruptly, they also
It's open.
reopened very quickly. So everyone who was sad that Basin closed for a little bit, it's now reopened. All right, some bigger news. Construction for Tiana's Bayou Adventure is coming along really well. Every day we're seeing more flora and fauna being decorated on like the outside of the ride. And an article on NOLA.com also confirmed a few other things, such as there will be Splash Mountain Easter eggs throughout the entire ride. I'm not surprised about this because one, it's probably easier for them to just keep some things the same. So it's like not having to pay for all new decorations, just keep some of the same stuff. They're saying the animatronics will be state of the art. Tiana will be speaking directly with the audience. No projected face like in the Frozen ride. So for instance, in Frozen, like
That's what
Anna and Elsa's
disappointed me
faces
in the
were
Frozen
all
ride when I
projections.
saw it.
So it'll be more similar to the animatronics in Disneyland Hong Kong and like the Beauty and the Beast ride that they have there. So it's supposed to feel very lifelike is what I've heard. So I'm excited to see that. Speakers in the queue line will play old-timey radio recordings of local artists, which I thought is a great little touch. The boarding area is going to be the same, just decorated differently. And the track of the ride will also be the same as well. I didn't expect the track or the boarding area to change. So nothing
that's a
of
big,
that sounded
why
different.
would they?
And they said that the decor and specifically the vegetation will be very different because it's supposed to make you feel like you are in New Orleans. So all the vegetation, everything is going to be very New Orleans themed, which is what I expected. So I'm excited to see what it's going to look like when it opens. It is supposed to open in 2024. They didn't say when in 2024, so I guess we'll just see when. So I'm looking forward to it. All right, up next, Epcot's Flower and Garden Festival will be from February 28th to May 27th. So there are a few new topiaries that have been announced. So a new topiary announced for Groot that will be near the Guardians of the Galaxy ride. Figment's topiary will be moved to the World Celebration Gardens. Also new topiaries will be Asha, Valentine, and Star topiaries from Wish. They will be at the front of the park. So excited to see Star's topiary. Everyone kind of knows I'm a huge Star fan. Star is like one of my favorite characters right now in the whole Disney universe. I love Star.
Every time she sees the star.
So I'm glad that Star is getting his own topiary because I feel like Wish was flopping there. So I was worried that nothing was going to be Wish themed anymore into the future, but I was like, no, they're getting their own topiary. So I'm excited to see Star. They also said Miguel and Dante topiary will be in Mexico. The Garden and Rocks dining packages will start to be on sale on February 6th. So make sure you check out to see who's going to be in the lineup for Garden and Rocks. I know not all the dates have been announced yet of who is performing.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before, that they haven't picked, some of the slots are empty.
Yeah, so we don't know yet who's performing on all the dates, but the dining packages will start on February 6th if you're interested in snagging one of those. All right, the mini kitchen sink sundae is back at Hollywood Studios. This is strawberry ice cream topped with red vanilla whipped cream, chocolate syrup, white polka dot sprinkles, cookie ears, and a chocolate bow for $24.99. It looks so cute and so good. I think it's great that Minnie has her own like kitchen sink sundae too, because I know Mickey's is a really popular one, but when I saw Minnie's, I was like, wait, that's so cute that hers is all polka dot themed. But now Minnie has one. It's mainly in Hollywood Studios, but it did say online you can get it at some like select resorts, but it didn't say which resorts. So I don't know which resorts it's available at. So I'll definitely just kind of look into that if you're trying to get your hands on like the, the souvenir of the sundae, cup itself. But it does look really cool. And lastly, I just wanted to note when I was doing my notes for this, Gideon's Bakehouse in Disney Springs has recently had some very long lines for the maple walnut chocolate chip cookie, the maple caramel chocolate cake, and the peanut butter apple galettes, which is like a pastry sort of thing with apples in it. But the lines have been, people are saying it's been like wrapping around the buildings apparently.
Why, are they that
specifically
good,
for
that
those
one?
cookies. I don't really know, or it's just the time that it was busy. But the lines were long during times where I think Disney Springs wasn't as busy as it normally is. So people were like, really long lines for Gideon. So just thought I'd point that out. I guess the maple walnut chocolate chip cookie is a big favorite for people. I'm not a big maple person personally, so I feel like
but
I
I guess in a chocolate chip cookie, it's probably good.
Yeah, especially with the walnuts, I'm sure it'd be great. So, all right, now we can transition into a little of Disney birthdays. We have 2 birthdays this week. week. However, neither of these birthdays are Disney birthdays. These are just personal life birthdays. There's no Disney characters with birthdays. That was a long-winded way to say that. So on February 3rd, it is my best friend, my longest and oldest friend's birthday, Tyler. His birthday is February 3rd. So happy birthday to Tyler. And then on February 4th, it is my friend Payne's birthday. So happy birthday also to Payne. And now we can transition into our final segment, our Disney memory. Do you have a Disney memory for today's podcast?
Yeah, I do. When we were talking about Rafiki's Planet Watch, when Amanda was young, she did not like the murals on the walls.
Yeah, so when you get to Conservation Station, there's these, I don't know if they're sliding glass doors. Yeah, but there's this big wall of a big mural of like animal faces.
Yeah, it's just animals. Just
Yeah,
tons
just
and tons of
animal
animals.
faces,
Birds,
yeah.
animals. It's very colorful. It's very busy. It's very everything. And like she was saying, you have to take the train all the way out there.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a
And then you're like
commitment.
trapped out there.
Yes, and then you're trapped out there. Well, we walked into Conservation Station and she screamed her lungs out because she was afraid to go past the wall.
Yeah, I was afraid of like the mural because
Yes.
it looked scary. I remember it's funny because when I look at it now, I'm like, oh, it's cute. But when
Yes.
I was younger, it was really scary for some
We have a
reason.
picture of us in front of the wall with her trying to jump out of my arms.
Which I still say, why would you take a photo of us, a family photo in front of this wall that I was obviously scared
because
of?
it was so beautiful.
You knew I was obviously scared of this wall. That's like, all right, guys, let's take in front of like the horror, like haunted mansion, clown thing.
Oh, she was like that at the Wilderness Lodge too, in front of the totem poles.
I was afraid of like faces. Like faces used to scare me like that. I don't know. I can't explain it. Not anymore, of course, as an adult.
She was afraid of Santa Claus. I had to sit on Santa Claus's lap.
That was like stranger danger. That was different.
Right. When we went to Rainforest Cafe, we had to push her stroller under the table because she was afraid of the thing. She.
Well, I was afraid of thunder and lightning when I was a kid. I had
Yes.
lots of fears when I was a
Yes.
child.
But
I've outgrown many of my fears.
But when she saw the mural, she did not like it. So
Yeah,
that's
no,
when
I
she was
scared of
talking
that
about Rafiki's Planet Watch and being committed to going out there. Like obviously, once she realized that she was fine, we were okay, and she loved the petting zoo and the whole other part of it. But that was the memory that jumped into my head when you were talking before.
Yeah, no, for sure. I know I've shared this one on a podcast in the past, but I'll just share it again because I think it's kind of funny. But when Flight of Passage first opened, my mom really didn't want to go on Flight of Passage. And it was mainly because she was afraid she was going to get motion sickness on it. Like we didn't know what the ride was going to look like. So she was scared to get sick to go on the ride. So me and my dad waited 2 hours in the standby. We went on the ride. I kid you not, the people in front of us watched the Avatar movie on his phone as we waited online. And he watched almost the entire movie as we waited on that line. Me and my dad went on it. As we went on it, I realized this is a bit of a spoiler, but it's just like Soarin'. So if you've been on Soarin' in Epcot, it's the same ride mechanisms, except for you're sitting kind of like bicycle style, like motorcycle style and something.
Some people do get dizzy.
Yeah,
from
so you
the
can get
3D
motion
effect.
sickness from it because
Yes.
it is 3D. You are moving around and just jostling
wide
around.
screen, yes.
But when I went on it, me and my dad got off and we're like, oh, mom could definitely do this. Like we kind of knew like she's not going to get that motion sickness. And my mom really did not want to go on it. She was so nervous, so scared. She's like, no, I don't want to do it. I'm so like, I'm going to get sick. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get that. We went on the ride, finally, took her on kicking and screaming. And we got off. She was like, that was the best ride ever. That was amazing. This was so cool. This was so many, like,
do it again.
She loved it. So it was so funny how much she really did not want to go on. And then she absolutely loved it. So I'm glad we really forced her onto the ride. She always says her favorite part is the wave. Like when you
Wave,
dive
when you go
into the wave.
as a surfer, when you go
Yeah.
under that wave as a surfer, to me that is like the best part of the ride.
Yeah, no, it's so cool. And that's what I was saying. Is like, and I told her too, is like, I wouldn't steer you, astray to be like, I knew you could handle and you'd like it.
Yeah.
But it was just so funny, the drastic change when we walked off
got
the
off
ride.
that ride, I
She
was like,
loved
wow,
it so much.
let's do
and
it
now
again.
we have to make sure we do it every time because it's one of her
Yes.
favorites.
Yes, it
Which
is.
I have to say, two of her favorite rides in all of Disney World is in Animal Kingdom.
And Animal Kingdom.
Yeah,
That's why
so-
Animal Kingdom is my favorite park.
Yeah, his two favorite rides is those two. So, but it's just kind of funny though, is all. I just like to bring that up. So, but all right, thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. Make sure you give us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or leave a comment if you're listening on YouTube. Again, I know I mentioned this before, but our Instagram is Spaceship Earth Design. It will also be linked in the description. And again, I will have that dedicated Instagram post for this episode, so you can let us know how you would rank the 7 lands in Animal Kingdom, or if you just want to do the 6 lands, that's okay. I realized I took out Rafiki's Planet Watch to elongate
I
the
only
podcast.
had 6 lands the first time I looked at my page.
Yeah, it's
Sorry
just I
for
was
the
trying to
confusion
elongate
in
the list a little
beginning.
bit, so that's why I did 7. And I will say we're only going to do, I know we did lands, I think, from Magic Kingdom, we're doing from Animal Kingdom. We're not going to do Hollywood Studios, I don't think, because there aren't really that many lands
No,
in
there's
Hollywood
not that much.
Studios.
There's
and
Star
they're-
Wars and everything else.
Well, it's like Star Wars, Sunset Boulevard, Hollywood Boulevard, and Toy Story Land, and the Muppets area.
Yeah, we
and
never
then sort
go
of like
into
the
the
Indiana
Muppets area.
Jones area. So
Yeah.
it's like it would be a bit harder for us to rank because I think the rankings would just be a bit more tricky, is all. So yeah, so we're not going to do that one, but we will rank the pavilions in Epcot. However, we're going to do that at the end of our deep dives. So our next deep dive is going to be a deep dive into France. So that's actually going to be a few episodes from now. So I'm teasing it. A few episodes from now, we're going to do a deep dive into the France pavilion. So get ready for that. Although again, that will not be next week's episode. So don't look forward forward to that for next week. But once we finish doing all the pavilions, then we will do our rankings of this. So but let us know what are your rankings of the lands. We'd love to know. All right, anything else?
Nope.
All right, well, we'll see you all real soon. Okay, bye-bye.